Right, firstly, problem solving again with vents, yeah? So I had a few people ask me about vents, so I thought I might as well do a quick example of how I do my vents anyway. So thanks for joining me again, guys. Yeah, so in particular about vents, we're going to talk about the side vent and the back vent, all right? And things to look out for, making sure it's laid nice and flat, and making sure the side seam as well is laid nice and flat inside, all right? So I'm going to give you some demonstrations today of how I do my vents. There's so many different variations. When it comes to vents, I've tried so many different ways, but I find this particular way works well for me. But to be honest, I do change it up depending on the fabric I use sometimes. So I like to mix heavy tailoring, like construction wise, with soft tailoring sometimes, you know. So I like to mix it up a little bit depending on the weight of the cloth. So when it comes to like vents, for example, this lightweight cloth, I tend to put more or less some silicea and linen in there to make it a bit more sturdier, because I like a nice strong vent. So that's what I'm going to be showing you today. So this is a lightweight job anyway, this has always been there every week, but I'll just show you the vent on this. So that's what we're looking for it to lay nice and flat. Somebody was actually asking what happens when a vent opens up like that. Now that's not really so much the making of the vent, that is more because of the person's figure. It could have a prominent seat, or I like to say big booty. So if you've got a bit of a big booty or a prominent seat, it does tend to flare up like that. So what you might need to do is change your pattern, where from the waist you might need to let it out a quarter maybe, and on the side seams a little quarter, and then try it on then and see if the vents lie flat then, yeah? So yeah, if it opens up like that, again, like I said, you've probably got a prominent seat, yeah? So you might need to alter your pattern on that. So going forward, what you're looking for is just the vent to lie flat and literally hang down at the bottom, a seam in, and you're looking for this bit underneath the vent to lay particularly flat as well. You don't want it kicking up like that, okay? So, I mean, everybody's got their own personal taste and opinion on vents, whether they're like single vent or double vent. I personally like a double vent because I love double-breasted suits. So for me, you know, double vent is always that classic kind of look for me anyway. And I think a lot of the English tailors use double vents. So yeah, I think it's probably a traditional British style anyway. But you know, it's all personal taste. You know what I mean? So right, let's get started. Before I get started, I'd like to give some props also to another tailor. Like each week I've been giving props to different people. You know, last week was the collar that I did, banana collar. I was giving props to JD, amazing tailor, John Davis, amazing tailor, so I'll give props to him. This week I'm also going to give props because there's two main people in my career that I have to say give thanks to. One was Dennis Cooper, already I mentioned, and the other today I have to say there's a particular guy that without him I wouldn't be kind of tailor I am today as well. He actually fixed me up in the game in terms of, I went through my career where I thought I was established and I thought I was quite good at what I'd done, and then I started working at this company, and then I started to teach. And then when I saw what kind of tailoring he'd done, he just took me under his wing and he showed me certain things as well. And the first jacket I actually saw on Savile Row in the actual tailoring trade was when I was at Geeves and Hawkes. I saw this jacket hang up, so I met this tailor before, well, I met his jacket before I actually met him. And when I saw his jacket, it was amazing. The way I was just in awe of this jacket because it's such a structured kind of cut. And the work that he put into this jacket, you could just see that it was well worked. He put a lot of work into it, and it was like the first kind of jacket I ever saw on Savile Row, and I thought, you know what, I want to make a jacket like that. Anyway, I have to give big props and big up to Albert. Albert is a top tailor, and at the moment he's teaching at the London Academy, or is it London Academy of Bespoke? So anyone who wants to check out any tailoring or do any tailoring, go check out them, man. Albert is a top tailor. So like I said, with him in particular, he showed me how to neaten up my tailoring game basically, and how to sew neat and tidy. And that's one good thing when you don't have someone that's training you all the time. That's one thing you've got to be careful of, because you could be stuck in just making and not actually knowing where you're going wrong because you ain't got someone looking over you. So it's good if you can neaten up what you're doing as you go along, and that's where I get doing my stuff in layers and layering my tailoring work so that basically everything's smooth. Anyway, let's get cracking and let's do some vents, yeah? Okay, so what we got here is, I've done a dummy side body basically. So this, if you had a pattern, that would basically be, this is my side body of my pattern, right? Let me just try and angle this a bit better. This is my side body, and this is where my vent would be, okay? On my side. So that's what I've done on this pattern here. That's the side bit of where the vent will be, okay? Where you do your vent, the measurement is entirely up to you. I usually do mine about, I would say, an inch below where the pocket mouth would be. That's where I start my vent. I like a high vent. So let me just get started and mark this. Get more in a shot. So this is the hemline here. Okay. This is the mark where your vent will start. Okay, it's got my tacks in there already, and that's where it finishes. So first thing I want to do, and this is the seam here, that's where the seam would come, right? So the first thing I want to do is mark the bottom width of my vent, okay? So this is the biggest part, okay? So I'm going to mark 2.5 from that point there, okay? And across here, I'm going to mark about 1.25 inches. All right. Sometimes you might not get enough cloth there, but majority of the time you get enough cloth going over there, okay? So now what I want to do, I want to join up these marks here, yeah? Just get your curve ruler and put it on there, and then just join that together there, yeah? Okay. Now I've got that, I want to mark up about, I would say, 1/2 inch from this hem here, 1/2 inch here, right there, okay? And then I'm going to go a seam in here, all right? And all I'm going to do is just join it up, like so, okay? So up from where the vent is, I'm going to mark 1 inch, okay, where the vent is. So that's where the vent is opening there, and I'm marking up 1 inch from there just to line it off. All right, so usually I leave inlay on my vent, because if you have to let out the waste here, yeah, then you need enough to let out on your vent as well, if you ever have to let it out, you know, years down the line if the customer puts on weight. So I leave about 3/4 for inlay on my side seam going up, and I also leave the same amount, yeah, for, I haven't got enough at the bottom there, but just imagine I've got enough there. I'll use about 3/4 all the way down, okay, like so. All right, doesn't matter if you don't really have as much there, do as much as you can, because sometimes you don't get enough cloth at the end there, but if you can, get it out there. So you see that what I've got there now? All right, so literally I'm just going to cut, this would be the inlay off there, and then I'm going to cut that bit of the vent there. All right, you'll start seeing it a bit more clearer because I've got other samples anyway, but I'm just showing you this bit of the particular part of the vent. Okay, so now I've marked that, what I want to do is get a bit of silicea. This is what I use, silicea. Put it over there, okay? Make sure this is well up 1 inch over where the actual vent starts, and then dab like that all the way through, okay? And then you check on this side. So I'll see where my mark is, I go straight across and around like that. I'm just remarking what was traced, just making a more defined line. So that's that bit there, and that starts there, okay? There, that's bit there, all right? And I go over about 2.25 inches and 3.5. So basically I'm just straightening it up, more or less, okay? And just cut this off now, yeah? You can do 2 at the same time, as you'll be working on 2 vents, but obviously I'm just doing 1 vent to show you. Let's go around, all right? Straight down, like so. All right, so now I've got that. That's my vent facing for my vent, yeah? So all you need to do now, once you've got that piece, is stitch 1/4 with your sewing machine all the way down like that for where the vent stops there, yeah? All the way up to the end there. That's all you do. All this bit here is just inlay, it's just extra, okay? So I'll put that to the machine, put that aside at the moment. I'll show you the machine back vent part, yeah? The other part, which is this bit, yeah? All right, so I've got a small copy of that here, all right? So what I've done is basically this is where the edge of your pattern is, and I've come a seam in, yeah? So I've actually tacked a seam in and not on that line, because what you're going to do, you're going to come in a seam in like that, and that's actually going to be the edge of your vent, okay? So this is the back bit, right? That's the hem, okay? So what I need is a strip of linen. That's what I put in there, because I like a nice strong vent, yeah? I think, you know, you're not supposed to sit down in your jacket, but, you know, in case you end up sitting down in it, or it's just nice to have a nice crisp, flat vent, and I think it's nice to have it in linen, because then you know it's definitely going to last. So just mark about 1 inch wide, and from the hem, yeah, up to past where your vent is going to start, 1 inch above that, or sorry, about 3/4 above that, yeah, measure what the length of that is, 8 1/4. That's the length I'm going to do the linen, yeah? So that was 1 inch wide, 8 1/4 long. Okay, I'm going to cut that. You'll start to see it coming together in a minute, but I like to cut all my bits and then machine everything at once, yeah? So that will go there, all right? So what you're looking to do with this bit, you cut off, so this is your edge, yeah, of where the original on your pattern. Right. So that's that edge bit there, yeah? So what I'm doing, I'm literally leaving about, I would say 1/4 on. I'm cutting off, because this is inlay, yeah? Cutting that off. It's about 3/8, yeah, 1/4, leave that on. And I'm sewing this, like I say, everything in layers to make it smooth, yeah? A good 1/4 back, yeah? So what you can do, you can either baste this. If you're not comfortable with machining it, I machine it straight on. I don't bother do this by hand, but if you want to do it by hand, you're more than welcome back. This is all about efficiency and just getting it done, because if you do this by machine, the whole point is once it goes in, you're not, the machine stitch you're going to see there, but you're not going to see it once you put your lining over it, yeah? So if you want, you can do this by hand, but the main point of putting this on is to try and ease and draw it in there so that it stays nice and flush and it doesn't gape, yeah, at the top of the vent. So basically I'm easing it in about 1 inch before the opening of the vent. I ease it in. It's a bit like doing a bridle and a lapel. Ease it in and press it, and then stitch it so that when you've finished it, it's kind of held in and that bit, and it doesn't gape, yeah? So if you do that, cut that, and then go to the machine and just machine stitch down there, okay? So also what you want to do is the top of your back, I'll show you this as well. You can cut up a little piece of silicea, and what that does, yeah, you do the same method as what you do on the vent, is you're drawing this in, yeah? And I'm pulling this on top. So while you stitch the hem, the bottom of the vent, while you stitch that bit, yeah, just stitch this as well at the top of your armhole bit here, yeah? Because what this does, you draw it in, you stitch it on top, and it's gathered underneath. And what that is, it holds in the back bit of your bridle and your sleeve arm at the back, yeah, back pitch. It holds that all in so it doesn't drape, okay? So you can just machine that as well, and that just holds it all in, yeah? So if I go to machine now and machine all that, which I don't need to do because here's one I prepared earlier for you. So this is the back, yeah? Always do my back first. So just imagine this is half of the back and the other bit is there, yeah? Because we're only working on the vent. This is the machine bit that I've done already, yeah? I don't know if you can see it there, but it's drawn in, yeah? Basically, I was on a machine and I pulled it, and it done the work for me. It just gathered it up underneath. If you're not comfortable with using a machine like that, then just baste it and then pull it on and baste it and then press it if you're more comfortable doing that. But if you're you know, experienced, there's a lot of experienced sewers out there, if you're comfortable doing it this way, then it's so much easier without basting it, yeah? You could just do that. And then the same here, you can see that, I don't know if you can see that it's raffled up a little bit at the back. You can see it's drawn in as well, yeah? That's machined 1/4, so it's a 1/4 away from the edge, and it's machined 1/4 in, yeah? So once you've done those, yeah, what I usually do is just press them at the same time. So I wet the top bit, and then leave the iron on it a bit, shrink it in, shrink that all away. Okay, and then you can't see it, it's gone, yeah, but that's held in. Do the same with the bottom of the vent there, shrink that away, leave your iron in it for a while to shrink it in, yeah, and then that's done. All right, so now what I want to do is baste back the edge. Okay, I'm just going to string up my cotton now, because now I've got to just baste it in place, yeah. So here we go. Put a knot in if you want. I try not to put too many knots in when I'm basting, especially on a lining, because I've had experience of you putting a hole in the lining when you're pulling out the basting cotton. So I try not to put too many knots in. Anyway, so I'm basting there, that back, and that is right on that tack line, a seam in, yeah? And this is where the vent is going to start, where that tack is. So I'll baste it about 1.5 inches down from where the vent opening is, yeah? Just baste it, rolling it back. And because it's linen, it's so crisp and hard, literally if you fold it back, that crispness will be right on the edge there anyway, yeah? So you don't have to stitch it inside or anything like that. There's no need for that. That's not moving anywhere anyway, yeah? Because I'm going to press it afterwards as well. Carry on going down. Yeah, like that. And then what you need to do is just press that crease in there anyway, yeah? So I've put dobber on there, a little bit of water, and probably about 1/2 inch up past the vent opening, I'll put a crease in there, all right? And just rest the iron over there like that. Just run it over and leave it in place to really mold that linen in there. So that's got a really sharp crease in there, all right? And like I said, that machine stitch that you've got there, that's going to be hidden, because when you put back your lining, yeah, that's going to be on top of that, so you're not going to see that, yeah? And it's got all the same qualities as if you was to do it all completely by hand, because it's still drawing in a little bit there, yeah? And it's a nice crisp vent. So anyway, that's that part, and I'll just put a little mark inside where I see that vent opening there, put a little cross, because that's where I want to stop on the machine, yeah? So I've done that bit, and then I go to, this is a dummy side body. So this bit that I said I was going to machine that already, okay? And what you do, you just open it. This is how I open some of my seams. I pull this back a little bit so it kicks up at the bottom, and then I'll just open it with my fingertips and run the iron. Don't press down on it. Usually I use my steam iron, and I can just run it over and steam it, and that will just open up the seam. That just saves me using my seam presser. All right, so now that's done. All I do is flip it over. All right, so you can see it coming together now. The reason why I like using silicea is because it's just got some body behind it. It just saves you, if you don't want to use fusing, because some people might want to put fusing on there and cover it, but because this is like bespoke and you're not supposed to use fusing, I like to just use silicea, because it's got the same weight as fusing and it just covers everything anyway. And the same thing as with machine stitch, once you baste it back, like what I'm doing, you're going to cover it with the lining anyway, so you're not going to see it, all right? So just carry on up, rolling it back so that you see a good 1/8 of the blue side, yeah? Just keep going up, all the way up. So you get to there, all right? And then what I'm going to do now is just run dobber on there, give it another press, make sure that's pressed nicely in place, nice and crisp, all right? So you've got the weight of your inlay in there as well, and you've got the body of the whole silicea, that's going to have some nice weight behind it, yeah? And then all I do is do a little tack at this bit, because I don't want it flapping around, because I've still got some work to do. Just put a little tack in there, all right? And leave that like that. So you can see it's starting to form together now, right? Turn it over, this is the right side, so your pocket would be there, your flat pocket, all right? So now what I'm going to do, now they're both made up, and put them together, yeah? So you just line up your notches, or your points where you need to line it all up, okay? Your balance mark, sorry. And I'm gonna base it together. So making sure it's a seam. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna baste it more than the seam because I need to stitch it, and I don't want to stitch on my basting marks basically, yeah? So baste down, good 5/8, whatever, matching all my balance marks, yeah? See that mark there, I want to join that up, flip it over where I've got my cross there inside, yeah? Make sure everything's running on point. I've already creased it anyway, so I've already got a grind line where to go up because it's already been creased from me pressing it before. Just double tack, yeah? And the reason why I went up about an inch is because once I sew it there, yeah, it will also catch the back of the silesia, so it will make the vent that much stronger as well, all right? So if you give me a set, I can actually press it, sew it. But what I'm going to do is also, just showing that bit, I need to tack down the rest of it. So you bring this vent in, a seam away from the tack, yeah? And once I finish there, I do like a catching stitch. It's almost like if you was to do a filling stitch. You only need to do like 3 or 4 depending on how long your vent is, yeah? See that? So just catching it there so it doesn't move, all right? So now what I'm going to do is just go in the machine and then machine it. So that's all done. Pull out your basting stitch. And like I say, I always like to press my seams flat, especially on lightweight ones, just to keep it nice and crisp. I press it flat before I actually open it. It actually makes it easier to open. So now, this is why you have to base your lining not so far in, because you have to able to get your iron in there and open the seam properly, all right? So now just, if you want, you can put your block on there on one side of the jacket and you just open up that seam, yeah? So put my dobber right in that seam. Might need to move this over a little bit so you can get in the camera. That must be better. Yeah, so where's my scissors? Just cut the top bit there so you can lay flat, and then I'm going to press, all right? Press right down to that vent opening, yeah? Make sure that's nice and flat. And then you stretch also, and the bit that you stretch is this bit, and you don't need to stretch it too much, because what I find is I've stretched it as much as I can, because obviously you don't want it to get tight up in the waist, that sometimes you can only stretch it as so much, and then you end up chopping in there the inlay to release it, and you're just defeating the whole object of having inlay on there by cutting into there. So what I do, I actually, when I press it, I don't need to stretch it so much now, because I lay the inlay on top of itself so that it's able to lay flatter and go around a really wasted waist, yeah? So I'll show you what I'm doing anyway, but basically I stretched that a little bit, yeah? Just around the top of the dart opening, all right? I've done that. And you can stretch it before you press it open. Doesn't really matter, as long as this seam is open, really flat. So I find sometimes when I do it the other way around and I stretch it first and I press this open, it kind of takes away what I've stretched there. So anyway, so now that's done, all right? So what I would normally do, yeah, is baste this over now, okay? So that's already all done there. So what you can do is fold this over like that, yeah? And this is where you just need to baste it down now. I'm just gonna baste up my cotton and baste down the lining, and making sure that's laying nice and flat and it's not tight as well. All right, so starting about an inch above the vent opening, yeah, and you can put a little bit of fullness in because you don't want it to be tight. Just put a little bit of fullness in, yeah, because you put fullness in up in the lining in the back, so you want to continue it a little bit past here, and it also makes it easier when you're doing the vent, you're filling it, that it's not going to end up tight. So just put a little bit fullness in, just in the top bit around there, and then stop it about an inch away from the hem anyway. All right, so that bit's done, and you only need to tack that bit obviously because you need to be able to flip this back, yeah, and tack it down. Okay, so you can see it forming together now. So what I do with this bit, before I do that, I'll just press it down. Okay, just press that bit down, flip this back, yeah, and then what I'm going to need to do is press it down. So what I'm looking at, I don't know if you see it forming together now, as I'm looking to press this down like that. So instead of me stretching that as much as I can, is what I used to do before, it made this in here like really tight in the waist. So now I just press it over itself and put like a pleat in it, almost like a presser pleat. So once you position it there, yeah, baste it down at this point. Just you're just kind of closing that area in, ready to tack it on the other side, okay, so it doesn't move. All right, and now you can focus on pressing this flat. So just put your dauber in the wet and wet it up, and try not to get on the lining or anything like that. Just press it flat, okay, and you're looking to get right in that point there, so it's folded over to about, I'll say, an inch before the vent opening, and then I'm aiming to get it right on that point. It's a bit like opening a dart in a way, okay, like that. Press that really flat, okay. So when that's flat like that, what you do is, you see, I'll bring it over now so you can see, it's got like a crease in there now like that, right? So what I need to do is making sure that this is not gonna basically roll over or open up. I need to secure that crease down as well. So what I do, you can put a ruler underneath, or you can just pick up with your fingers and just baste it all the way to the waistline, right on the edge. All right, and that will secure what you've just pressed down, just to make sure, okay, like so. All right, so that bit's done, yeah. Then you need to work on doing the actual tack on the vent, yeah. So you see how it's forming now, yeah, that's the hemline, and now I need to do the back vent. And you can just aim from where the vent opens, just aim towards there. You can aim it a little bit lower actually, go across. I usually just do it by what looks great, good position, to be honest. So wherever I do this side, I mark there like that, and then I'll copy it the same on the other side, yeah. So usually do that about 1.25 inches for that vent, yeah. And you can just feel through that there's probably like a quarter left of the vent hanging off over, yeah, so that's good anyway. So then I do all my tacks, which is basically starting off with my 3 stitches that I go up and down right near the edge. Do make sure you lift it up and see what's going underneath, yeah, and then you put needle like that up and down. Now while I'm here anyway, because I said I was going to do the back vent, the back vent is done, I do the same way as I do this, yeah. So if you think about how your back vent is, your back vent will be on this side. I know this is upside down. What I do in the edited copy, I'll flip the camera around anyway, yeah? But the back vent is usually this way around anyway, yeah? And you would have that underside going up in there like that. So I do this the same process. The only difference is obviously the lining is done a little bit differently at the back, and you don't have as much inlay on the back as well, yeah? So you can just press it over to one side. So it's basically the same process, yeah? All right, so I'll just go up and down on this bit. You should go closer, do a few, about 2 or 3 on the edge before I start going forward, yeah? And then, yeah, just start it going. Let's go forward. Go up and down. And if you want, you can even, once you get past this bit here, you can do a back stitch, but you have to make sure it's really small. If you're not comfortable with that, you have to make sure it's all the same width. Because if it's not, then you go up and down. That's what I do anyway. Alright, so then when you get to near the end, which is about there, then that's when I go up and down again, because I want to do a good few stitches there to keep it secure. And then I'll flip it over and then double tack. Alright, that's all double tacked there, secure. Yeah, now I go back to the inside, yeah, and now I can take out my base stitching that I already did to keep this fully encased and down, yeah. So take that out, all right, and then all you do, you lay your lining over, right, and then basically, I'll put more in a shot there if you can see. Basically what I'm going to do is lay the lining right at the edge of where that silesia is, and I'm going to baste it in, yeah. So just going to string it up, basting cotton, getting ready to go again. And different sides, you start from one from the top, one from the bottom. This side, I probably wouldn't have done this way, it's just because it's so small. I'm not used to the routine of handling it, but the back should be out that way at the back of you, and you should be having the front here. So I'll be starting this side going up, all right? So I'll start this side from the bottom of the hem there, making sure you've got enough across there. An inch up from the hem, I will start, yeah? And I'm just basting it all the way up. If you want to put a ruler underneath so you don't go all the way through. Oh, it's out of camera shot, isn't it? So start an inch up from the hem, and I'm basting it all the way up. Yeah, don't go all the way through to the other side. But as soon as you see that bit there, this is where it's tacked across from the other side, yeah? That's where you want to stitch right on that point there, yeah? And then you can stitch that down. Double tack, all right? Double tack there, and then what you're going to start doing now is angling the lining, angling it to cover the inlay on top there, yeah? And making sure you can see the run of this can go right up and pass to the underarm, okay? Now sometimes when obviously you stretch it a little bit around there, you might fray, so just cut it down. So remember, I only stretched it a little bit around there because I don't need to stretch it all the way around like that and have this open. This is lying flat, going straight all the way up, so it saves you stretching it all, and that will lay down a lot nicer than trying to stretch that around, okay? So if you just carry on stitching, you can go all the way through if you want. What I tend to do is I get a ruler and put it in there as well, because what I find is I think it's easier for the tailoress or whoever's going to finish and do the hands there if it's not sewn all the way through. So I try to line the ruler up underneath this lining here, and then lay this on top like that, and then baste it all the way through. Alright, so that should be done flat across there, yeah? Because you've already got your fullness in the back bit there and the front bit there. So this bit you can just lay flat, okay? And just go all the way up. double tack. You don't have to do this stitch small anyway, just do it that size will do, doesn't really matter, like so. And now what I usually do as well with the armhole, yeah, because I don't like this to move around too much, what I like to do is do a basting stitch going all the way around the armhole. I'll show you what I mean. And I'll do that stitch going around like this, and I'll just aim it towards the top of the back basting as well, like that. Okay, so that's just holding everything in the armhole, because you're going to be working on the armhole, putting the sleeves in, you don't want it to be loosened up. Okay, so that's that done. All right, and then what I do, so that's the vent part done, yeah, side vent. What I do, I can then take my tack out like so, yeah, and you've got a nice sharp crease in your vent there, and that's under there like that. And how I tack it up now, I will tack, usually I have the front hem done already, yeah, so it's up to you whether you want to put a bit of lining on the bottom there or you want to leave it, but you can do that, yeah. But I'll show you how I do my hem. Is basically I leave about 2 inches on the hem, and what I do is baste it. I'll show you. So just make sure that's laying flat, start at the bottom there and go across. When I get to that point where I went in a seam at the bottom there, yeah, I'll show you what I mean. Get to that point there, I turn it, I spin it in a little bit so I can pivot in that point, yeah, putting a pleat in there, still going across all the way to the bottom, keeping that all encased in. All right, and then what I'm going to do is do the top. Okay, so I come across the top like this. Usually I have the lining out of the way. Like I said, I'll do this before I actually put the lining in. That's done like that. Now what I will do is usually I'll press, you know, you can put your rag on there and just press that so it's clean. I like to press it in position and press it clean before I actually stitch it, because then I can see what's going on. Alright, so that's like that, yeah. You can even trim it down if you want, but what you're going to do with this is fill it on there, yeah, and then you're going to tack it around there and then tack it on here. And this is why sometimes what I do, I'll put lining on there. If it's a lightweight job, I'll put lining on the hem, and the lining will stick out there, and I'll tack it to the lining on the hem so it doesn't go all the way through the actual cloth. Okay, and then I fill this bit of the vent down as well, okay, so that stays flat. And then when you look at it the other side, that'll be your vent, okay. And then what I do then, that's when I mark the hem like so, and I mark it straight across, and then I mark it 2 inches down, and then I'll do my hem on my back. All right, and then obviously probably know the rest. I'll take up the lining on the hem there, and then I'll put it right to the edge there so you won't see that at all, that Celicia, yeah, and it'll come right down the bottom. That's it. That's how I do my vents.